Welcome to our channel, your gateway to the most spine-chilling tales and unnerving true stories. Today, we present a true story, The Depths of Love, a tale of passion and pain. The chilly wind of an autumn evening whispered through the leaves of the ancient oaks that lined the main street of Willow Creek, a quaint rural town where the stars always shone a little brighter and the air a bit fresher. It was here, in the heart of this seemingly innocuous place, that our story unfolds. Sam, a young cashier with a penchant for horror podcasts and a knack for making the perfect cup of coffee, was navigating the twilight hours in their beat-up old car, delivering hot meals to the residents who craved a taste of something other than the quiet solitude that often accompanied the season's shift. The days grew shorter and the nights stretched on like shadows, enveloping the town in a cloak of darkness that seemed to thicken with each passing minute. The neon sign of Sam's deli flickered in the rearview mirror as Sam turned onto the gravel path that led out of town. Their headlights danced over the uneven terrain, casting eerie shadows that stretched and contorted with every bump and rut in the road. The quiet was only broken by the occasional crunch of gravel beneath the tires and the distant hoot of an owl. The night had been uneventful, just another chapter in the mundane saga of delivering comfort food to those who sought refuge from the cold. That was until the phone in Sam's pocket buzzed with a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was faint, almost ghostly, with a hint of urgency that sent a shiver down their spine. The caller spoke of a delivery, but the address was unfamiliar, a relic from the town's forgotten past, an abandoned farmhouse on the edge of the woods, miles from civilization. Intrigued and in need of the extra cash, Sam scribbled the directions onto a crumpled napkin, feeling the weight of curiosity and the allure of adventure that seemed to pulse from the very fabric of the call. They turned onto the desolate road, the town's glow fading in the distance like a forgotten memory. The GPS screen flickered, the signal weakening with every turn until it finally gave up, leaving them with only the cryptic instructions and their own wits to guide them. The trees grew denser, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, as if to pluck Sam from the safety of their metal cocoon. The car's headlights pierced the darkness, revealing the dilapidated remains of what once must have been a thriving farm. The house loomed ahead, a silhouette against the inky sky, its windows like hollow eyes watching the interlopers approach. The porch light flickered, casting an eerie glow over the overgrown garden that had long ago lost its battle with the wilderness. The tension grew palpable as Sam pulled into the driveway, gravel crunching beneath the car's tires like the bones of a long-dead creature. The house stood before them, a monument to a time when life here had been simple and unblemished by the whispers of the night. They stepped out into the crisp air, the smell of decaying leaves and damp earth mingling with the faint scent of something unpleasant, a scent that seemed to emanate from the very pores of the farmhouse. The front door of the house hung open like a gaping mouth, beckoning them closer with the promise of a warm meal and the completion of their task. But the air was thick with an unspoken warning, a silent scream that echoed in the empty sockets of the windows. Sam's heart raced as they approached, the cold seeping into their bones, the hairs on the back of their necks standing on end. They called out into the void, their voice swallowed by the yawning darkness within. Only the distant sound of a tap running water responded. The kitchen door was ajar, a sliver of light spilling out like a lifeline in the sea of shadows. Cautiously, they stepped over the threshold, the floorboards groaning in protest beneath their feet. Inside, the house was a time capsule, the furniture covered in dusty sheets, the walls adorned with peeling wallpaper that whispered secrets of bygone days. The kitchen was a scene of abandoned domesticity, the sink overflowing with dirty dishes, the faucet gushing water into the abyss of the porcelain basin. Yet, there was no sign of life, no hint of the person who had called them here. The water grew colder, the chill seeping into their very soul as they approached the kitchen sink. The sound of the tap was a metronome of dread, ticking away the seconds as Sam's eyes darted around the room, searching for any sign of the mysterious client. They felt a presence, a heaviness that clung to their every move, a silent observer hidden in the gloom. Their hand hovered over the tap, ready to shut it off, when they heard a faint rustling from the adjacent room, the living room, where a solitary chair sat in the center, facing a dead fireplace. They froze, the sound of their own breathing drowning out the world around them. They knew they weren't alone. With trembling hands, they set the delivery bag on the counter and stepped into the living room, the cold, wet floorboards betraying their every step. The rustling grew louder, and then, silence. They waited, their heart pounding in their chest like a drum, each beat a countdown to the inevitable encounter. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a silhouette that sent a bolt of fear through Sam's body. But as their eyes adjusted, they saw it was only a stray cat, its fur matted and eyes gleaming with the reflection of the moonlight that streamed through the dusty windows. It mewed pathetically, as if it too knew the secrets this house held. The tension in the room dissipated like a ghost at dawn, leaving Sam feeling both relieved and foolish. They turned to leave, their footsteps quickening as they retreated to the warmth of their car. But as they reached the door, they heard a faint whisper on the wind, the sound of a voice they hadn't heard since the call. "Thank you, Sam." They spun around, but the room was empty. The cat was gone, the tap still running, the house seemingly as abandoned as when they had arrived. The voice was a taunt, a siren's call luring them deeper into the unknown. The first episode of The Gravel Path leaves us with Sam standing in the doorway, the weight of the delivery still in their hand, the question of the mysterious caller's identity hanging in the air like mist on a graveyard fence. Who had led them here, and why? What secrets did the farmhouse hold, and what horrors awaited them in the episodes to come? The night grew colder, the stars above winking in silent amusement at the human drama unfolding below. Sam knew they had stumbled upon something much larger than a simple case of mistaken identity. As they drove away, the house grew smaller in the rearview mirror, but the feeling of being watched lingered, a chilling reminder that they had taken a wrong turn down a path from which there might be no return. The cold, inky blackness of the rural night enveloped the solitary figure of Sam, standing on the porch of the abandoned farmhouse. The wind whispered a mournful tune through the desolate graveyard of trees surrounding the property, their skeletal limbs reaching out as if to embrace the lost soul. A shiver ran down Sam's spine, the chill not entirely from the brisk autumn air. The silence was a living, breathing entity thick with the scent of decay and forgotten secrets. The door to the farmhouse swung shut with a groan, echoing through the desolate night. Sam's heart pounded in their chest, a trapped bird desperately seeking escape. The eerie glow of the phone in their hand was the only beacon of hope in the abyss of darkness. The screen, once a gateway to the outside world, had become a prison, a digital leash held by an unseen puppeteer. The GPS had led them here, to this godforsaken place, and now it was a conduit for their tormentors' taunts. Sam cautiously steps into the house, the floorboards groaning under their weight. The kitchen was a relic of a bygone era, with dust-covered appliances and a rusty, old-fashioned stove. The faucet in the sink continued to run, the water a rhythmic lullaby in the silence. Sam approaches, curiosity mixing with dread. The tap was old, the porcelain handle cold to the touch. The water was icy, and as they reached to turn it off, their phone buzzed to life. The buzzing grew louder, the screen illuminating the dusty furniture that had long ago given up any semblance of comfort. The message was simple: "I see you." Panic set in, a cold sweat beading on Sam's brow. They knew their phone had been hacked, but the reality of being watched was a horror show come to life. The morning light streamed through the blinds, casting a warm glow across Sam's apartment. The horror of the previous night had left a palpable weight in the air, a heavy shroud that clung to their soul. The comfort of their bed was a stark contrast to the cold, hard floor of the farmhouse. They sit up, the events of the night playing back like a twisted reel of film in their mind. The phone, now silent, lay on the bedside table, a digital grim reaper that had stolen their peace. With trembling hands, Sam opens the local newspaper. The headline screams at them: "Missing delivery drivers, town on edge." The article details a string of drivers who had vanished without a trace, all on the same night, all in the same area. The police were baffled, the townsfolk were terrified. Sam's eyes widened in horror as they realized the gravity of their situation. They were not the first to be lured into this trap. Ignoring the pleas of their mother and best friend, Jun, Sam becomes obsessed with the mystery. They decide to investigate, driven by a mix of fear and the need to uncover the truth. Jun, a journalist with a penchant for the macabre, is the only one who seems to take their story seriously. Together, they sift through local archives and dusty town records, piecing together a chilling narrative. The old newspaper article from the 1980s spoke of a similar incident, a lone delivery driver lured to the very same farmhouse. The article was yellowed with age, the ink faded, but the terror it described was as vivid as if it had happened yesterday. A young woman named Laura had vanished after making a delivery to the abandoned house. The police had found her car, the engine still running, but she was never seen again. The decision to return to the farmhouse was not an easy one. Yet, here they were, Sam and Jun, armed with flashlights and a determination to uncover the truth. They climbed the rickety stairs to the attic, the boards creaking like the bones of the long departed. Amidst the cobwebs and dust, they discovered a hidden room, sealed shut with a padlock. The air grew colder, a sense of dread thickening like fog. With a trembling hand, Sam slipped a lockpick from their pocket, a tool of their trade that had taken on a new, more sinister purpose. The lock clicked open, and the door swung wide to reveal a chamber of horrors. The walls were adorned with newspaper clippings, each one detailing the disappearance of a delivery driver. Photographs of each victim were arranged in a twisted shrine, the fear in their eyes haunting. In the center of the room stood a table, covered in electronics. A computer monitor flickered with the screensaver of a twisted, leering face. It was clear that their every move had been watched, their fears documented and enjoyed by their unseen captor. Jun gasped as she found a USB drive labeled with the name of the first missing driver. It contained a video, the quality grainy, but the content was unmistakable. The driver was bound and gagged, pleading for their life. Their hearts racing, Sam and Jun realized they had to leave, to take the evidence to the police. But as they turned to leave, the floorboards gave way beneath them. They plummeted into darkness, the room collapsing in a cacophony of splintering wood and billowing dust. The fall had taken them to the bowels of the house, a damp, cold basement that smelled of earth and despair. The walls were lined with rusty shelves, each one holding a jar filled with a murky, viscous liquid. The flashlights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the room. As the dust settled, they heard a faint beeping. Sam's phone, somehow still in one piece, had survived the fall. The screen was cracked, but the message was clear. Welcome home. The haunting phrase sent a shiver down their spines. They had become part of the story, players in a twisted game that had been played before. As they searched for a way out, the walls seemed to close in, the air growing colder, heavier. A sense of dread filled the room, a tangible force pushing against them. The basement door swung open with a bang, the light from their flashlights revealing a staircase leading up into the house. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor above, growing louder with each passing second. They had been found. Sam and Jun sprinted up the stairs, their hearts hammering in their chests. The mysterious figure was close, their footsteps a relentless drumbeat. They could feel the hot breath of fear on their necks as they stumbled into the hallway. Sam's phone rang, the shrill sound piercing the silence like a scream. They reached the main room, the door to freedom just a few feet away. Sam answered the call, their voice trembling. The voice on the other end was calm, almost soothing, a stark contrast to the chaos in their hearts. "You shouldn't have come back," it said, the words echoing through the room. The figure stepped into the light, a tall, gaunt man in a tattered overcoat, his eyes a piercing blue that seemed to bore into their very souls. His smile was a twisted mockery, a promise of pain. "You're next," he whispered, the words a chilling serenade that sent Sam's blood running cold. The man lunged, but Jun reacted swiftly, shoving Sam aside and into the arms of their pursuer. The two struggled, the man's grip like iron, his eyes alight with the madness that had festered for decades. Sam took the opportunity to flee, their legs pumping like pistons as they sprinted towards the front door. The man's laughter followed them, a chilling sound that seemed to resonate within the very walls of the house. The cool night air hit Sam like a slap in the face as they burst through the door, gasping for breath. Jun was nowhere to be seen. The phone rang again, the screen displaying a single word: run. With trembling hands, Sam started the engine, the headlights piercing the darkness. They sped away, the farmhouse shrinking in the rearview mirror, the taunting grin of the man etched into their memory. As they reached the safety of the main road, the phone rang for a final time. The voice was different this time, a woman's, soft and mournful. "Thank you," she said, before the line went dead. The police had arrived, the farmhouse searched, but there was no sign of Jun. The room was a mess of flashing lights and concerned faces, but all Sam could focus on was the USB drive clutched in their hand. The video had stopped playing, but the images remained burned into their mind. The woman's voice played on a loop in their head. Who was she? What had they just uncovered? The quiet was shattered by a knock at the door. Sam's mother, her eyes red with worrying, clutched a photo of Laura, the missing woman from decades past. "This was your aunt," she whispered, her voice trembling. "The house, it's been in the family. I never wanted you to know." The walls of the room seemed to close in, the weight of the revelation too much to bear. The farmhouse, the missing drivers, the haunting figure, it was all connected to their family's dark past. The camera panned out, leaving Sam staring at the photo, the question hanging in the air. What was the truth behind the gravel path? And what had they just unleashed? The crisp fall air clung to the darkness like a shroud, the moon a distant spectator in the night sky. Sam's car crawled down the winding gravel path, each turn peeling back layers of their comfort, leaving only the cold embrace of the unknown. The GPS flickered, the voice growing more insistent with each misstep. This wasn't the first time they had been sent to the wrong address, but something about this particular night felt different. The abandoned farmhouse loomed before them, a relic of a bygone era, swallowed by the shadows. The porch light flickered, casting a jaundiced glow on the rotting wood, and the door hung open like a mouthed agape in a silent scream. A solitary figure, the source of the mysterious phone call, stood in the doorway, beckoning. Sam, driven by a mix of desperation and curiosity, stepped out of the car, the crunch of gravel echoing like a gunshot in the stillness. Sam cautiously approaches the open door, the chilly breeze carrying the faint scent of decay. They enter the house, the floorboards groaning beneath their feet like the complaints of long-dead souls. The kitchen is in disarray, the sink overflowing with water, a single dish floating aimlessly. A sense of unease coils around them, tightening with every step. Suddenly, the lights flicker, and the figure is gone. The house seems to hold its breath, waiting for Sam to make a move. They cautiously navigate the dimly lit space, their heart hammering in their chest like a drum in a silent symphony of dread. The living room is a tableau of decayed grandeur, the wallpaper peeling like the skin of a corpse. A grandiose fireplace, once the heart of a loving home, now a cold, empty maw. Above the mantel, a tapestry of a family, long ago woven into the fabric of the room, now faded and forgotten. Sam moves down the hallway, the air thick with the scent of dust and despair. Photographs line the walls, the images of a once happy family now veiled by the cobwebs of time. Each room they pass seems to whisper a secret, hinting at a history better left buried. The bedroom door creaks open, revealing a space untouched by the outside world. A four-poster bed, draped in a moth-eaten canopy, dominates the room. On the floor, a shrine has been constructed from stolen delivery items, a twisted altar to a modern-day Hermes. The room is a museum of the missing, each package a silent testament to a driver who never made it home. The stairs to the attic creak like the bones of the house itself, protesting Sam's intrusion. At the top, a room suffused with the scent of mildew and age. The walls are lined with newspaper clippings, each one detailing the disappearance of a local delivery driver. The centerpiece, a map of the town, pinned with the locations of each vanishing. The room spins as Sam realizes the gravity of the situation. They've stumbled upon something much larger than a simple prank. A knock at the door sends a jolt of terror through their body. It's Ellie, the local detective, her eyes haunted by her own unsolved case. They share their findings, the air thick with the weight of shared understanding. The two sit in the abandoned living room, the flickering light casting dancing shadows across their faces. Ellie's skepticism has been shredded by the evidence before her. They decide to work together, pooling their resources and determination to unravel the twisted web of secrets that has ensnared Sam. As they search for clues, the house seems to come alive around them. Doors slam, whispers echo through the halls, and the figure of the mysterious caller flits at the edge of their vision. The house has become a labyrinth of fear, each turn leading them deeper into the heart of darkness. The detectives' instincts lead them to the basement, a dank, cobwebbed chamber that reeks of earth and damp. They find a stash of hacking equipment, newspaper clippings, and a wall plastered with photos of the missing drivers. The figure they've been chasing is more than a mere prankster. They're a mastermind with a macabre hobby. Back in the bedroom, Ellie finds an old newspaper article, yellowed with age. It tells a story of a grisly crime, the house's former inhabitants, and a trail of unspeakable acts that were never fully resolved. The room feels colder, the air charged with the residue of fear and violence. The walls seem to close in as they piece together the puzzle. The former owners, a husband and wife, had a twisted history of luring unsuspecting delivery drivers into their home, never to be seen again. The town had turned a blind eye, allowing the horrors to continue for decades. Their eyes lock on a hidden compartment in the attic floorboards. Hesitant, they pry it open to reveal a collection of ID badges, each belonging to a missing driver. The realization hits them like a sledgehammer. They're not just dealing with a copycat, but a continuation of a sinister legacy. The floorboards groan as the figure appears before them, a tall, gaunt man with eyes that bore into their very souls. He's the embodiment of the house's malevolence, a living ghost of the past, The chase is on. Sam and Ellie are hunted through the house, each room a stage for a dance of terror. They stumble upon a secret passage, a relic from the house's grim history, and make a break for it, the man's heavy footsteps echoing in pursuit. They emerge in the basement, surrounded by the ghosts of the past. The man corners them, his smile a twisted mockery of human emotion. But Ellie, fueled by a mix of anger and fear, fights back with a ferocity that surprises even herself. The man is subdued, the house's secrets laid bare. Ellie's haunted expression is a mirror to Sam's own. They found the missing piece to the puzzle, but at what cost? The town's quiet facade has been shattered, revealing the festering wound beneath. As the sirens wail in the distance, Sam and Ellie stand on the porch, the house a silent sentinel behind them. They've survived the night, but the horror has only just begun. The town's secrets are unraveling, and there's no telling what other horrors wait in the shadows of the gravel path. The crunch of gravel underfoot pierces the quiet of the night. Sam, the intrepid young cashier turned delivery driver, had become accustomed to the solitude of the rural town's backroads, but this night felt different. The air was thick with anticipation, as if the very shadows held their breath. The moon was a silver sliver in the inky sky, casting just enough light to reveal the outline of the abandoned farmhouse that had become a recurring, malevolent presence in their life. Sam sits at their desk, surrounded by a mess of notes and open tabs on their computer screen. The room is a cocoon of warmth and safety, a stark contrast to the horrors they've uncovered. They read aloud from an article printed from the town's historical society website. In the late 1800s, the gravel path was known as the Whispering Fields. Travelers spoke of a spectral figure that would appear, guiding lost souls to their doom. Sam and Detective Ellie sift through dusty archives. An elderly woman with glasses on a chain, Miss Jenkins, recounts the town's grim folklore. The spirit of a wronged woman, Rachel McAllister, is said to wander these lands, seeking vengeance on those who dare to disturb her eternal slumber. Sam and Ellie drive down the infamous path, the car's headlights cutting through the darkness. The detective shares her own haunting tale. My sister went missing on a night like this. She was a delivery driver too. The door creaks open with an ominous groan. Inside, they find a shrine, adorned with stolen delivery items. The walls whisper with the echoes of distant screams. Sam's hand trembles as they lift a faded photograph from the mantle. This is Rachel McAllister. The phone on Sam's desk lights up, vibrating with a new message. It's the hacker, taunting them with cryptic knowledge of Rachel's history. I know her story, Sam. Do you? The screen goes dark, leaving only the glow of the computer to cast eerie shadows on the wall. Sam interviews townsfolk, each with their own chilling story about Rachel's curse. They speak in hushed tones, glancing over their shoulders as if the spirit is listening. Sam and Ellie scrutinize a map, tracing the path of the missing drivers. The owner, Old Man Jenkins, recounts his own encounter with Rachel's spirit, his voice crackling with age and fear. The hacker's message leads them back to the gravel path, the same path Rachel McAllister was said to have walked centuries ago. The house looms in the distance, a silent sentinel to their impending fate. As they explore the house, whispers grow louder. The air is charged with an otherworldly energy. They find a hidden basement door, the wood warped and stained with age. The stale scent of decay fills the space as they descend into the bowels of the house. The walls are lined with newspaper clippings detailing Rachel's tragic life and her violent end. Sam's heart races as they realize the hacker has been one step ahead, orchestrating a macabre dance of fear. A chilling wind whips through the fields as Rachel's whispers grow clearer. Find them, she seems to beckon. Free me. In the flickering light of a candle, Sam discovers a journal belonging to Rachel. Her tortured entries detail her love for a man who never returned and her descent into madness. The whispers on the wind grow stronger, guiding Sam and Ellie to a clearing. There, they find a makeshift grave marked with a simple wooden cross. The hacker's messages become more personal, hinting at Rachel's restless spirit. Sam reads aloud, "You're next, Sam." Just like all the others, they dig frantically, unearthing the remains of Rachel McAllister. The moment their shovels hit bone, the whispers cease. Guided by Rachel's journal, they ascend to the attic, where they find her true resting place. A portrait of Rachel watches over them, her eyes seemingly following their every move. Exhausted and shaken, they lay Rachel to rest in her rightful grave. The whispers return, this time gentle and grateful. The hacker's voice fills the room, a digital ghost in the machine. You've played right into my hands. With Rachel's spirit at peace, the town's darkness begins to lift. But the hacker's game is not over. Sam's phone rings, the screen displaying an image of their own face, twisted and distorted. The next morning the sun pierces the curtains, casting a warm glow over the room. Sam wakes with a start, unsure if it was all a nightmare. The phone buzzes again, the hacker's final message, "See you soon." The night had grown colder, and the moon hung low in the sky, casting a ghastly pallor over the deserted streets of Willow Creek. Sam, now a veteran of the eerie nights that had become their second shift, pulled their hoodie tighter around their neck as they drove through the town's outskirts. The dashboard clock ticked away the minutes to midnight, the rhythm echoing the erratic beat of their heart. Their phone buzzed with the all-too-familiar notification from Luna's Late-Night Delights, the local diner where they picked up most of their deliveries. A new order, a sigh of relief and a flicker of hope filled Sam. Maybe tonight would be like any other night. Just another delivery to a hungry customer, a quick exchange of food for cash, and back home to the safety of their bed. But as they glanced at the screen, their eyes widened with dread. The address was unknown, a place that didn't exist on any map, and the directions led straight into the heart of the Whispering Fields. The GPS on their phone guided them down the winding gravel path, the same path that had led them to the accursed farmhouse. The headlights pierced the veil of darkness, illuminating the ghostly silhouettes of trees that danced in the wind like silent sentinels of a long-forgotten secret. The quiet was pierced only by the crunch of gravel under their tires and the distant howl of a solitary wolf. The destination grew nearer, and the anxiety in Sam's chest grew heavier. The once familiar path had become a labyrinth of dread, each turn revealing more of the town's hidden horrors. They arrived at a clearing, where a single, dilapidated street lamp flickered ominously. The GPS announced, "You have arrived at your destination," but all that greeted them was a dense thicket of dead corn husks rustling in the breeze. The silence was shattered by the sudden blast of their car horn. Sam's heart skipped a beat as they realized it wasn't them. They stepped out of the car, the cold metal of the door handle sending a jolt down their spine. In the distance, they could see the ghostly outline of a delivery van, its lights off, the horn echoing through the stillness like a mournful wail. They approached the van with trepidation, the stench of decay and fear thick in the air. The doors were ajar, and inside, the radio played a static-filled tune that seemed to come from a bygone era. On the floor, a crumpled note fluttered in the breeze that had snuck in. Sam picked it up, their trembling hand barely able to hold onto the paper. The message was simple, yet chilling. "You're next." Their phone buzzed again, a new delivery order with the same unknown address. Sam felt the noose of fate tightening around their neck, but they had no choice. The rent was due, and the haunting whispers of the missing driver's families filled their ears, urging them to find answers. As they drove back to the safety of the town, the spectral van remained in their rearview mirror, never quite disappearing from view. Each time they looked away, the van grew closer, the horn echoing like a taunt. The townsfolk grew more cautious, whispering about the phantom driver who had claimed so many of their own. With each delivery, the encounters grew more unnerving. The spectral drivers would appear at the edge of their vision, their faces obscured by the shadows, watching silently as Sam handed over the food. They felt a kinship with these lost souls, a bond forged by fear and the shared experience of being lured into the darkness. The townsfolk spoke of an ancient burial ground beneath the Whispering Fields, a place where the vengeful spirit was rumored to reside. Desperate for answers, Sam turned to the local librarian, Mrs. Crowley, who revealed the tragic tale of a carriage driver from the 1800s. He had been falsely accused of theft and murder, hanged from the very tree that now stood in the center of the fields. His spirit, it was said, had sworn to claim the lives of those who dared to travel the gravel path at night. Sam and Ellie, now inseparable in their quest for the truth, ventured into the heart of the Whispering Fields, the phantom drivers trailing them like a grim parade. They found the tree, its gnarled limbs reaching out like the arms of the damned. Beneath it lay a patch of disturbed earth, the soil freshly turned. The final delivery of the night led them to the old cemetery on the edge of town. The GPS insisted the order was from the abandoned caretaker's cottage, but Ellie knew better. The cottage had been a ruin for years, a relic of a time before the gravel path had been forgotten. They approached the cottage, the phantom drivers now a chorus of silent spectators. Inside, they found a makeshift control center filled with hacked delivery devices and a wall plastered with newspaper clippings of the missing. The hacker, revealed to be a gaunt, hollow-eyed man, sat before a flickering screen, his fingers dancing over a keyboard. "You're too late," he cackled, his voice a mix of madness and malice. "The spirit has claimed them all. But as Sam and Ellie moved to apprehend him, the ground trembled beneath their feet. The spirits of the missing drivers manifested, their cold, spectral hands reaching out to their living counterparts. The hacker's eyes grew wide with terror as the vengeful spirit of the carriage driver emerged from the shadows, his noose tightening around the man's neck. The spirit spoke through the wind, his voice a chilling whisper. "You brought them to me, but now it's your turn to pay the toll." Ellie, driven by a mix of fear and determination, managed to pull the plug on the hacker's operations, sending the spirits into a frenzy. As the machines went dark, the spectral drivers disappeared, and the hacker fell to the ground, gasping for air. The final moments of the episode played out like a nightmare in reverse. The earth swallowed the cottage, leaving only the whispering fields and the ancient tree as silent witnesses to the horrors that had unfolded. The town of Willow Creek was left to grapple with the truth of its dark history, the phantom drivers now at peace, their tormentor brought to justice. The dense fog had settled in the small rural town like a heavy shroud, wrapping itself around the lampposts and treetops, obscuring the gravel path that led to the abandoned farmhouse. It had been weeks since Sam, the young cashier-turned-delivery driver, had first been lured to this desolate place by a mysterious phone call. The quiet town's serene facade had cracked to reveal a dark underbelly of missing drivers and a haunting past that seemed to have a hold on the present. Sam and Detective Ellie, flashlights in hand, cautiously descended the creaky stairs into the bowels of the old farmhouse. The air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. Sam's heart hammered in their chest as the floorboards groaned beneath their feet, echoing through the emptiness. Sam whispers, "What do you think we'll find down here?" Detective Ellie whispers, "I'm not sure, but I have a feeling it's going to answer a lot of questions." Their beams of light danced across the cobwebbed walls, illuminating the remnants of a life long abandoned. The room they entered was vast, with a dirt floor and a low ceiling. In the center, a large wooden table held a collection of items, a torn delivery jacket, a crumpled hat, a set of keys, and various other personal effects. The site was haunting, a macabre museum dedicated to the lost souls of the town's drivers. Sam swallows hard. This is where they all ended up. Detective Ellie nods solemnly. Looks like it. The detective's eyes narrowed as she spotted a small, hidden door at the back of the chamber. Her hand hovered over her gun holster, ready for whatever lay beyond. Detective Ellie whispers, "Let's keep our wits about us." They approached the door, their breaths shallow and fast. With a gentle push, it swung open, revealing a narrow passageway. The walls were lined with newspaper clippings, each one detailing a grisly incident involving drivers vanishing without a trace. The edges of the articles were yellowed with age, but the fear they evoked was as fresh as the day they were printed. The chamber was claustrophobic, the walls closing in as the duo ventured deeper. The floor was uneven, and the air grew colder with every step. The flashlights flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. Sam whispers, "What is this place?" Detective Ellie whispers, "It's a shrine to the missing drivers." The room opened up to reveal a makeshift altar adorned with photos of the lost, candles flickering in the draft. The spirit of one of the drivers, a young woman named Laura, appeared before them, her eyes filled with a mix of anger and despair. "Sam, Laura, can you hear me?" The spirit's eyes focused on Sam, and she nodded slightly. Laura, voice shaky, "You're the one who's been receiving the calls." Sam nods yes. "I've been trying to figure out what's happening here." The spirit's expression softened, and she began to speak, her voice a sad whisper. "Laura, he's trapped us here, feeding off our fear. He won't let us move on." Detective Ellie determined we're going to put an end to this. The spirit's eyes lit up with hope for the first time. "Sam, to Laura, tell us about him. What does he want?" A flashback played out before them, the room momentarily bathed in the sepia tones of another time. Laura's ghostly form grew more solid, recounting the tragic story of the farmhouse's former owner, a man named Henry. He had lost his family in a terrible car accident caused by a drunk driver and had vowed to take vengeance on those who traveled the same path. The flashback ended, and Laura's spirit grew weaker. Sam, concerned, "What can we do to help you?" The spirit looked at them with a solemn expression. "Laura, find the peace we never had. Stop him before he takes anyone else." With a final, mournful sigh, Laura's spirit faded away, leaving Sam and Ellie in the cold, silent chamber. Sam whispers, "We have to find Henry's remains. Maybe that's the only way to end this." Detective Ellie nods. "And we need to find the hacker. They're the key to all of this." The two of them, driven by a newfound urgency, retraced their steps through the dark house. As they climbed the stairs, the whispers grew louder, the echoes of the lost souls trapped by Henry's wrath. They entered the living room to find the hacker, a ghostly apparition of Henry, sitting in a rocking chair by the window. His eyes glowed with malevolence as he rocked back and forth, watching them. Sam shakily, "We know what you've been doing, Henry. It's time to let them go." Henry laughs, "You think you can stop me? I am the path they walk. I am the end of their journey." Detective Ellie, firmly, "We're going to bring them justice, Henry. And we're going to put an end to your curse." The spirit's eyes grew wide with rage, and the room grew colder. Henry snarls, "You will never leave this place." The walls began to shake, and the floorboards cracked as Henry's fury manifested in the room. Sam and Ellie braced themselves, ready to face the wrath of the vengeful spirit. The chilling wind howled through the night as they exited the house, the supernatural energy dissipating with each step they took away from the farmhouse. They searched the grounds, their flashlights cutting through the fog, until they found a small, overgrown grave marked with a simple wooden cross. Sam kneels, "This is where Henry's body should be." Detective Ellie grimly, "But it's not. He's still out there." Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them, and the grave began to open. Out of the earth, the spectral forms of the missing drivers emerged, their eyes pleading for release. Sam to the spirits, "We're here to help. Please, show us the way." The spirits swirled around them, leading Sam and Ellie back to the house. They re-entered the farmhouse, the walls groaning with each step. The hacker's laughter echoed through the halls as they approached the room where they had first encountered Henry. The door was ajar, and a flickering light spilled out. Detective Ellie to Sam, "You stay here. I'll go in first." Sam nodded, gripping the handle of the baseball bat they had brought for protection. Ellie pushed the door open, her gun drawn. The room was a chaotic mess, the shadows playing tricks on their eyes. The hacker's apparition hovered in the center, surrounded by the lost driver's spirits. Henry taunts, "You think you can save them? You're just like the rest. Lost." Detective Ellie, firmly, "We're not like you, Henry. We want to set things right." The spirits began to gather around the hacker, their energy feeding into him. His form grew more substantial, the room's temperature dropping to a bone-chilling cold. "Henry," powerfully, "You're too late. They're mine now." Sam from the doorway, "No, they're not." With a surge of courage, Sam stepped into the room, the spirits parting to make way for them. Sam to the spirits, "You don't have to be afraid anymore. We're going to find a way to set you free." The spirits looked at Sam, their expressions hopeful. The hacker's form wavered, his grip on the room weakening. Detective Ellie whispers to Sam, "What do we do?" Sam whispers back, "We have to convince him to let go." The two of them approached the hacker, speaking softly but with determination. Sam to Henry, "Your family wouldn't want this for you. It's time to find peace." Henry agonized, "But the pain. It never ends." Detective Ellie sympathetically, "We'll make sure the town remembers what happened. We'll honor the lives you've lost." The room grew still, the spirits holding their breath. Henry's eyes searched theirs, looking for the truth in their words. Henry weakly, "Promise me." Sam nods, "We promise." The hacker's form flickered and then dissipated, the room returning to its natural state. The spirits of the drivers began to fade away, their whispers of gratitude filling the air. The house was quiet once more, the fog outside the windows slowly lifting. Sam and Ellie exhaled in relief. The weight of the haunting lifted from their shoulders. Detective Ellie to Sam, "We did it." Sam smiles weakly, "We did." The moon hung low in the inky sky, casting a ghastly pallor over the quiet town as Sam sat in their living room, surrounded by a web of newspaper clippings, hand-drawn maps, and scribbled notes. The room was a testament to their obsession with unraveling the mystery of the gravel path and the sinister force lurking within the decaying farmhouse. The chilling whispers of the night outside were a stark contrast to the warm glow of the room, filled with the comforting aroma of pumpkin spice candles and the rhythmic ticking of an antique clock. Sam's eyes burned with fatigue, but the weight of their discoveries kept sleep at bay. The doorbell rang, a jolting interruption to the silence. Sam's heart skipped a beat. They peered through the peephole, seeing a hunched figure shrouded in darkness. It was Ellie, the local detective whose skepticism had gradually given way to a shared obsession with the case. Her eyes were sunken, but her determination remained unshaken. Sam opened the door, and Ellie stepped in, her shoes echoing on the hardwood floor. "Sam, I think we found something," Ellie began, her voice tight with excitement. "Remember the missing driver's license plate we found at the farmhouse?" Sam nodded, recalling the chilling moment when they had stumbled upon the grisly trophy. "It's registered to a family on the outskirts of town. The mother reported her son, Alex, missing a few days ago. He's a bit of a tech whiz, and his room. It's like a command center. They decided to pay Alex a visit, the urgency of their mission propelling them into the chilly night. As they approached the house, the lights flickered erratically, as if the very air was charged with the electricity of secrets about to be revealed. The house was a silent sentinel, its windows dark and uninviting. Inside, the two found themselves in a starkly different environment from the warmth of Sam's home. The walls of Alex's room were plastered with screens and glowing keyboards, a stark contrast to the posters of superheroes and rock bands that hinted at a lost innocence. Cables snaked across the floor like the veins of a digital monster, leading to a central computer that hummed with the power of concealed knowledge. "Alex," Ellie called out, her voice echoing through the house. The only response was the mournful howl of the wind outside. They moved through the corridors, the floorboards creaking underfoot like the whispers of the lost souls they sought. As they approached Alex's room, they heard a faint sound, the unmistakable click of a mouse. The door was ajar, and they pushed it open to find the room bathed in the cold blue light of computer screens. Alex sat hunched over the keyboard, their eyes bloodshot, their skin pale with the pallor of a nocturnal creature. "You're the one," Sam accused, their voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. "You've been leading me to that house, haven't you?" Alex looked up, a tear trickling down their cheek. "I had to," they murmured, their voice cracking. "I had to know what happened to her." The walls of the room seemed to close in as Alex revealed their tragic tale. Their sister, Rachel, had been one of the first drivers to disappear. Driven by grief and a desperate need for answers, they had stumbled upon the farmhouse's dark history and the vengeful spirit that dwelt within. The spirit had whispered to them, offering a twisted form of companionship in their solitude. Ellie and Sam listened, horrified, as Alex recounted their descent into the digital underworld, using their hacking skills to lure unsuspecting drivers to the house. The spirit had promised them it would reveal Rachel's fate if they continued, ensnaring them in a cycle of terror. "But it's not just about Rachel anymore," Alex confessed, their eyes pleading. It needs more. It feeds on fear and pain." The room grew colder as the spirit's presence grew stronger, a palpable force that seemed to seep through the very fabric of the house. The screens flickered, and the images of the missing driver's final moments played out in a macabre display of the spirit's power. The spirit had been manipulating Alex, using their grief as a conduit for its own malevolent purposes. It had become clear that the only way to stop the cycle was to confront the spirit together and free Alex from its grip. They returned to the farmhouse, the gravel path beneath their tires seeming to stretch on forever. The house loomed before them, a silent sentinel of the horrors that awaited within. They entered the house, the air thick with the scent of decay and the cloying embrace of the spirit's rage. As they moved through the shadowy corridors, the spirit grew bolder, the walls seeming to close in around them. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of the lost souls begging for release. The hidden chamber lay before them, its door a gaping maw that promised no escape from the horrors within. The room was a shrine to pain and despair, the walls adorned with the stolen mementos of the missing drivers. In the center stood the spirit, a shimmering specter of rage and sorrow. It hovered over a pit filled with the echoes of lost screams and the ghosts of those it had claimed. Alex stepped forward, the weight of their grief etched on their face. "I'm here," they whispered, their voice trembling. "Please, Rachel, tell me what happened." The spirit coalesced into the form of Rachel, her eyes filled with an unearthly light. She spoke in a voice that was both hers and not hers, a chilling harmony of the living and the dead. "I am not your sister," it hissed. "I am the path you chose, the pain you embraced." The truth struck Alex like a bolt of lightning. The spirit had been using Rachel's form to manipulate them, feeding on their pain to continue its reign of terror. With a primal scream, Alex tore free from the spirit's grasp, the room shaking with the force of their anguish. The spirit, now revealed in its true form, a writhing mass of shadow and malice, turned its gaze upon Sam and Ellie. The air grew colder, the whispers of the lost souls growing to a deafening roar. "We're not here to replace them," Ellie shouted, her voice cutting through the din. "We're here to end this." The spirit's fury grew, the room darkening as it lunged forward. Sam grabbed a handful of the stolen items, the ghosts of the drivers reaching out, their icy fingers wrapping around the warmth of the tangible world once more. They hurled the objects into the pit, breaking the spirit's hold on the chamber. One by one, the lost souls ascended, their whispers fading into the night as they found peace. The spirit, weakened by the loss of its power, retreated into the shadows, its form flickering like a candle in the wind. Exhausted, the trio stood in the now silent room, the weight of their victory heavy on their shoulders. The house felt empty, the malevolence that had once suffused it now a distant memory. In the aftermath, the town of Ashwood slowly began to heal. The truth about the spirit and the farmhouse's dark past spread, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires and recounted in hushed tones. The hauntings ceased, and the gravel path was no longer feared. But for Sam, Ellie, and Alex, the scars remained. They had faced the abyss and emerged forever changed. The bond forged in the crucible of fear grew into a friendship that transcended the ordinary, a testament to the human spirit's capacity for resilience in the face of the unknown. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, they stood on the porch of the farmhouse, watching as the spirits of the lost drivers disappeared into the light. The house was now just a house, the path just a path. Ellie turned to Sam and Alex, her eyes filled with a quiet determination. "We'll make sure no one else gets lost out here." And with that, they turned away from the house, the gravel path behind them, ready to face whatever the world had in store for them next, united in their resolve to protect the innocent from the shadows that lurked in the quiet corners of the night. The end of The Hacker Unmasked left the audience with a poignant blend of relief and sorrow, a stark reminder that sometimes, the most terrifying monsters are born from the deepest human pain. Yet, it was also a testament to the power of hope and friendship in the face of the unknown. The story of the gravel path had come full circle, leaving viewers eager for the next chilling chapter in the lives of Sam, Ellie, and the town of Ashwood. The room is dimly lit, the flicker of a single candle casting eerie shadows across the walls. Sam sits at their desk, eyes glued to the computer screen. They've spent countless hours piecing together the puzzle of the hauntings, the disappearances, and the hacker's true intentions. The room is cluttered with newspaper clippings, hand-scrawled notes, and maps of the town, each detail meticulously connected by a spider web of red string. Sam voiceover everything leads back to the farmhouse and the spirit that dwells within. Sam and Ellie stand before the dilapidated farmhouse, the setting moon casting long shadows across the overgrown lawn. The house looms in the background, a silent sentinel of secrets and despair. Ellie nervously, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Sam determined, "We have to end this. For everyone's sake." The duo cautiously enters the house, flashlights cutting through the darkness. The air is thick with the scent of dust and decay. As they navigate the creaking floorboards, whispers echo around them, the spirits of the lost drivers beckoning for help. The chamber is a macabre museum of the missing, filled with the personal items of the drivers, wallets, keys, and other remnants of their lives. A shrine in the center holds a picture of the house's original owner, a stern-faced man, and his family. The walls are adorned with pages from an ancient tome, detailing a ritual to bind spirits to the mortal plane. Alex, the troubled teenager, sits in a room filled with ghostly apparitions of the missing drivers. Their faces are twisted with anger and pain, their eyes pleading for release. Alex whispers to themselves, "I'm sorry. I didn't know." Suddenly, the lights flicker on and off, and the spirit manifests, an ethereal figure dressed in tattered clothes, its eyes burning with a fiery rage. "Spirit, you shouldn't have come here." "Sam, we're here to help, to understand." The spirit leads them to the chamber, revealing its true form, a young woman, bound by arcane symbols. Her eyes meet Sam's, filled with sorrow and desperation. Spirit desperate, "Please, I can't take it anymore." As the spirit's story unfolds, it's revealed that she was a victim of the original owner's madness, her soul trapped and tormented by his dark magic. The hauntings were her cries for help, not acts of vengeance. Ellie and Sam find Alex, surrounded by the angry spirits of the lost drivers. "Ellie, Alex, we know what happened to your sister. We can help you." Alex tearfully, "It's too late for her. And for me." The spirit, now freed from its bindings, explains that the only way to stop the cycle is to destroy the tome that holds the dark incantation. In a dramatic struggle, Sam and Ellie fight to burn the tome while the spirit and the angry souls battle for dominance. The room is a whirlwind of supernatural forces, the air crackling with energy. The flames engulf the book, and the spirits begin to dissipate, their anguished cries fading into the night. The spirit of the young woman lingers, looking at Sam with gratitude. "Spirit, thank you." With the tome destroyed, the house seems to sigh with relief. The spirit fades away, leaving behind a feeling of peace and closure. The trio exits the house, the once ominous structure now bathed in the soft glow of the dawn. The air is crisp, the nightmare seemingly over. Ellie to Alex, "You're not alone anymore." Months later, Sam sits at their desk, staring at the computer screen. The case is closed, but the memories linger. They receive a message from an anonymous sender, hinting at new, unexplained occurrences in the town. The house now stands empty, but there's a sense of peace. The sun shines through the dusty windows, revealing the remnants of the past. A single page from the tome flutters in the breeze, the last words of the incantation barely visible. Thank you so much for joining me on this cinematic journey. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Have you experienced a spine-chilling horror that left you trembling? Share your terrifying tale with us by emailing nightmarenetwork@hotmail.com, and we'd be thrilled to feature it on our platform. Until next time, happy movie watching.